Ghost signal. The detection array on Outpost Epsilon 9 was the most sophisticated sensor network in the known galaxy. Spanning 3 moons in the Zaxian Empire's outermost defensive perimeter, it could detect the heat signature of a small transport vessel 5 light-years away. Nothing escaped its vigilance. Until today. Commander Vexlar stared at the anomalous reading on the primary scanner, his 4 eyes blinking in rapid succession, a sign of extreme stress among his species. The reading shouldn't exist. It couldn't exist. Run the diagnostic again, he ordered, mandibles clicking with agitation. Lieutenant Drex, a younger officer with ambition that exceeded her experience, performed the scan for the 4th time. Same result, Commander. The object maintains its approach vector, speed constant at impossible levels. Nothing moves that fast in normal space, Vexlar muttered, more to himself than to his subordinate. The object had appeared at the edge of their detection range just 20 minutes ago. No warp signature, no quantum disruption field, no hyperspace exit point. It had simply appeared, and it was moving at a velocity that should have torn any known ship design apart. Magnify, Vexlar commanded. The holographic display expanded, revealing a vessel unlike any in the Empire's extensive database. It was long and sleek, with no visible propulsion system. Its hull was a deep matte black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No markings, no insignia, no identification beacon. It's not in any of our records, Drex confirmed unnecessarily. And it's moving fast, heading directly toward the Zaxian core worlds. Vexlar's secondary heart began beating faster. Attempt communication on all standard frequencies. And alert High Command. Drex's claws danced across the control interface. No response on any channel, Commander. I've already notified High Command. They're concerned. That was diplomatic understatement. The Zaxian Empire had ruled this sector of the galaxy unchallenged for over 300 cycles. They had crushed the Vorgan Collective, subjugated the Tellurian Confederacy, and eradicated the dangerous Terran Alliance. There shouldn't be any power left capable of fielding unknown technology like this. The communication panel chimed. Supreme Admiral Krex's hologram materialized, his ceremonial armor glinting even through the projection. His expression was grim. Commander Vexlar, explain this situation. Vexlar straightened, all 4 arms snapping to attention. Admiral, we've detected an unidentified vessel approaching at unprecedented velocities. It's not responding to hails and doesn't match any known configuration. The Admiral's upper eyes narrowed. Is it Terran? The question hung in the air. The Terrans, humans, as they called themselves, had been the Empire's most formidable adversary in generations. Their technological innovation and unpredictable tactics had nearly turned the tide of the war 70 years ago, before the Empire unleashed the Void Catalyst on their homeworld. Earth and its colonies had been reduced to sterile wastelands. The few survivors had been hunted to extinction, or so the official history claimed. Unknown, Admiral. The design doesn't match historical Terran configurations, Vexlar replied cautiously. But there are similarities in the hull composition. The Admiral turned to someone off-screen. Deploy the 7th Fleet to intercept. Authorization code Omega-73. Lethal force authorized without warning. He turned back to Vexlar. Keep tracking it. If its course changes by even a micron, I want to know immediately. The transmission ended before Vexlar could acknowledge the order. Sir, Drex said, her voice uncharacteristically quiet. The 7th Fleet is our most powerful battle group. Do they really think one ship requires that level of response? Vexlar's mandibles twitched, the equivalent of a humorless smile. Fear makes even the mighty cautious, Lieutenant. He returned his attention to the display. The mystery vessel continued its unwavering approach, now less than 6 hours from intersecting with the 7th Fleet's position. Its velocity remained constant, defying the fundamental laws of physics as the Zaxians understood them. Sir, another technician called out. The object is emitting some kind of signal now. Communication. Vexlar moved quickly to the technician's station. No, sir. It's broadcasting on all frequencies, but it's not in any standard language format. Running it through the translation matrix now. The speakers crackled and then filled the command center with a strange rhythmic cadence. It was unlike any language Vexlar had ever heard, harsh yet flowing, with unexpected pauses and emphases. The translation computer churned through its databases, trying to find a match. After nearly a minute, it displayed a result that made Vexlar's blood run cold. Language identified. Terran Standard English. Confidence, 98.7%. That's impossible, Drex whispered. The last Terran died decades ago. The translation began scrolling across their screens. To the Zaxian Empire. We remember what you did to Earth. We remember the billions who died screaming. We remember the colonies you poisoned. We remember the children who never had a chance to grow up. We have been watching. We have been waiting. We have been building. Today, the debt comes due. Vexlar felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. Get me the Admiral. Now. But before Drex could establish the connection, every screen in the command center suddenly changed, displaying the same symbol, a blue and green sphere wrapped in what appeared to be two stylized hands. The symbol of the long-dead Terran Alliance. How are they doing this? Vexlar demanded, panic edging into his voice. Our systems are isolated. There's no way they could hack. The lights dimmed, then returned. When they did, all the screens displayed the same message. We never left. You just stopped looking. Alarms began blaring throughout the outpost. The security chief burst into the command center, his exoskeleton bristling with weapons. Commander, our defense systems are activating on their own. All weapons are targeting our own ships. Vexlar stared at the main display where the mysterious vessel continued its approach, unconcerned and unhurried. Alert all commands, he ordered, his voice steady despite the fear gripping him. The humans have returned. Supreme Admiral Krex stood in the command center of the Imperial flagship Eternal Dominance, surrounded by the Empire's finest military minds. None of them looked confident. Time to intercept, he demanded. Fleet Commander Zix consulted his display. The 7th Fleet will make contact with the intruder in 17 minutes, Admiral, and our analysis of their transmission. The intelligence officer, a slender Zaxian, with specialized neural augmentations, stepped forward. It appears genuine, Admiral. The linguistic patterns match archived Terran communication perfectly. And the symbol, it's definitely the emblem of their old planetary alliance. Krex paced the command platform, his ceremonial armor clicking with each step. The humans are extinct. We made certain of that. This must be some other species using their imagery to provoke us. That's possible, the intelligence officer conceded. But consider the technology displayed. No known species can move at those speeds without entering dimensional shift. And the way they penetrated our communication networks. Are you suggesting that humans, a species we defeated 70 years ago, have somehow not only survived but advanced far beyond our current capabilities? Krex's voice dripped with skepticism. The intelligence officer hesitated. I'm suggesting we consider all possibilities, Admiral. An aide approached, offering a secure data tablet. Admiral, the High Council requests your presence in an emergency session. They've ordered the activation of the Genesis Protocol. The room fell silent. The Genesis Protocol was the Empire's last resort, a doomsday weapon developed after the Terran War as the ultimate insurance against extinction. It had never been tested outside simulation. That's absurd, Krex snapped. It's one ship. Sir, the tactical officer interrupted. The 7th Fleet has visual contact with the intruder. The main display activated, showing the perspective from the lead dreadnought. The mysterious vessel was now clearly visible, a sleek, dangerous-looking craft approximately 1/5 the size of the flagship. Its hull seemed to ripple slightly, as though not entirely solid. "Open a channel," Krex ordered. "All frequencies, all languages in the database." The communications officer complied. "Channel open, Admiral." Krex drew himself up to his full height. "This is Supreme Admiral Krex of the Zaxian Empire. You have entered Imperial space without authorization. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire." For several long moments, there was no response. Then a voice replied, not over the communication systems, but somehow directly through the flagship's internal speakers. "Hello, Admiral Krex. You don't know me, but I know you very well. My name is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. I studied your career extensively. You were a young sub-lieutenant during the purging of Earth, weren't you? One of the officers who personally deployed the atmosphere scrubbers that killed the last 3 million survivors in the North American shelter zone." Krex froze. That information was classified at the highest levels. How could they possibly know? "Your ship design is interesting," the human voice continued conversationally, "focusing all your shield generators at the front, with minimal coverage at the rear quarter. A weakness we exploited at the Battle of Proxima Centauri. You didn't learn from that mistake, I see." "Fire!" Krex shouted. "All ships, all weapons." The 7th Fleet, pride of the Zaxian Armada, unleashed its full destructive potential. Plasma lances, quantum torpedoes, and graviton beams, enough firepower to reduce a small moon to rubble, all converged on the lone human vessel and passed straight through it. "A hologram?" Zix gasped. A small alert chimed on the tactical display. Something was approaching from behind the fleet. Fast. "What is that?" Krex demanded. "Another ship, sir," the tactical officer reported, panic evident in his voice. "It was hidden in the sensor shadow of the first. It's real, and it's—" The officer never finished his sentence. The command center shook violently as something struck the flagship. Alarms blared, and emergency containment fields activated throughout the vessel. "Damage report," Krex bellowed over the chaos. "No damage, sir," the tactical officer replied, confusion evident. "They didn't attack us. They attached something to our hull." "Sir," the communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a fleet-wide transmission. It's bypassing all encryption. It's being broadcast to every ship in the Empire simultaneously." The main display changed, showing a human woman in a simple dark uniform. She had olive skin, short black hair, and eyes that seemed to burn with an inner fire. Behind her stood other humans, a diverse group with determined expressions. "People of the Zaxian Empire," she began, her voice calm and measured. "I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. 70 years ago, your leaders told you they had eliminated humanity, a necessary action to ensure the security of your empire. They told you we were dangerous, unpredictable, a threat to galactic stability." Her expression hardened. "What they didn't tell you was that we had offered peace, that your emperor rejected our final plea for coexistence, that the attack on Earth wasn't a military necessity, but a test, a field trial for weapons your scientists had developed and were eager to deploy." She gestured, and the display split to show historical footage, recordings Krex recognized with horror. The classified archives of the Earth assault, showing the brutal reality of what had been sanitized in official accounts as a strategic pacification. "We didn't all die," Commander Reyes continued. "Some of us escaped. We hid. We rebuilt. We remembered. And now, we've returned, not for revenge, but for justice." Krex turned to the tactical officer. "Cut this transmission. Now." "I can't, sir. Our systems aren't responding." "What we've attached to your ships," Reyes explained, "is not a weapon. It's the truth. Every database on every Zaxian vessel now contains the unaltered historical records of what really happened. Every citizen in your empire will know what was done in their name." She leaned forward slightly. "We could have come back with vengeance. We considered it, but we chose a different path. Watch your sensors carefully, Admiral Krex. You're about to have visitors. The tactical display suddenly lit up with hundreds, no, thousands, of new contacts appearing throughout Zaxian space. The human fleet, Zix whispered. There are so many. But Krex wasn't looking at the display anymore. He was staring at a small data tablet that had just activated on its own. On it was a personal message. We know about the Genesis Protocol. We've disabled it. The cycle of destruction ends today. As Krex looked up, he saw his officers staring at their own devices, each receiving different messages, different truths long buried. The humans hadn't come to destroy the Zaxian Empire. They had come to change it. And Krex knew with sudden, terrible clarity that they would succeed. Reckoning Day. The Imperial Palace on Zaxia Prime had never been breached in its 1,000-year history. Its security systems were legendary, its defenses impenetrable. Emperor Voxthar had always taken comfort in that knowledge. Today, that comfort evaporated like morning mist. What do you mean they're already inside? The Emperor demanded, his royal carapace flaring with anger and fear. Royal Protector Jix bowed low. All four of his arms crossed in the gesture of ultimate apology. Your Majesty, they didn't breach our defenses. They were already here. Impossible. The humans have technological capabilities we didn't anticipate, Jix explained, mandibles trembling. They've placed devices throughout our worlds. Monitoring equipment, infiltration systems, some of it dating back decades. They've been watching us since the end of the war. The Emperor rose from his ornate throne, purple bioluminescent patterns flashing across his exoskeleton in patterns indicating extreme distress. How many of them are in the palace? Just one, Your Majesty. She's waiting in the Grand Strategy Room. She asked for you specifically. A human female. One. The Emperor's confusion was evident. Where are our guards? They're still there, Your Majesty. She hasn't harmed anyone. She simply walked past them. Their weapons wouldn't fire. The security fields didn't activate. It's as if our systems don't recognize her as a threat. The Emperor stared at his loyal protector, seeing the barely controlled panic in the warrior's eyes. The Zaxian Empire had built its power on technological superiority and uncompromising might. To be so effortlessly outmaneuvered was unthinkable. Show me, the Emperor commanded. The Grand Strategy Room was the heart of the Zaxian war machine, a massive chamber where campaigns were planned and the fate of entire species decided. Its walls were lined with interactive displays showing every corner of the Empire in real time. At its center stood the tactical nexus, a three-dimensional projection of the known galaxy. The human stood beside this projection, studying it with apparent interest. She was small by Zaxian standards, perhaps reaching the height of an adolescent. Her uniform was simple but elegant, midnight blue with silver accents. No visible weapons, no protective armor. Just a slender biological creature that should have been no match for even the weakest Zaxian warrior. Yet the dozen elite guards surrounding her kept their distance, mandibles clicking nervously. She looked up as the Emperor entered. Emperor Voxthar, thank you for coming. I am Admiral Sophia Chen of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. The Emperor stopped at a safe distance. You've invaded my empire, infiltrated my palace, and now you expect gratitude for my presence in my own strategic center. Admiral Chen smiled slightly. I haven't invaded anything, Your Majesty. I've come to present terms. Terms. The Emperor's laughter was harsh. You're one human in a palace full of Zaxian warriors. Whatever technology allowed you to slip past our defenses, you're still alone and surrounded. Am I? She gestured to the galactic projection. Look closely. The Emperor turned his attention to the tactical nexus. What he saw made his primary heart skip a beat. Throughout Zaxian space, new signals were appearing, thousands of them, distributed across every major system, every strategic location. What are these? He demanded. My people, Admiral Chen replied simply. We've been hiding in plain sight for 70 years, some disguised as other species, some in stealth ships, some integrated into your society so completely you never noticed them. Impossible. Humans are distinctive. We would have. Would you? She touched a control, and the room's main screen activated, showing images of various beings throughout the Empire. Merchants, laborers, even a few minor officials. Before the Emperor's eyes, their appearances shifted, holographic disguises falling away to reveal human features. Your empire has grown complacent, Your Majesty. You believe your own propaganda, that humans were extinct, that your dominance was absolute. It made you blind. The Emperor's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed this information. Why now? If you've had this capability all along, why reveal yourselves today? Admiral Chen's expression grew solemn. Because it's time for the truth. About Earth. About what your predecessor did. About what really happened 70 years ago. She touched another control, and the room's displays changed, showing historical footage the Emperor had never seen. The final days of Earth, not the sanitized military records, but raw, unfiltered images of the purging. Your empire didn't win a necessary war against a dangerous enemy, Chen said quietly. You committed genocide against a civilization that had offered peace. Lies, the Emperor hissed, though doubt had begun to creep into his mind. Humans attacked our colony worlds unprovoked, did we? She pulled up another set of records, these from the Imperial archives themselves, but with the classification markers still visible. These are your own records, Your Majesty. The unprovoked attacks were defensive responses to your military testing bioweapons on isolated human settlements. Your empire fired the first shot, and the last. The Emperor stared at the evidence, mandibles twitching in agitation. Even if this were true, it would be the actions of a previous regime. I wasn't even hatched when this war occurred. True, Chen acknowledged. But you've perpetuated the lie. You've built your rule on the foundation of that injustice. And more importantly, she paused, meeting his gaze directly. You've continued the same policies against other species. She brought up new images, recent operations against the Illuvian refugees, the subjugation of the Trell homeworlds, the ongoing extraction of living resources from the Vox system. The Zaxian Empire has become what your ancestors accused humans of being, a threat to all life that doesn't submit. The Emperor's royal carapace flared in anger. So you've returned for revenge, to do to us what you claim we did to you. Admiral Chen shook her head. No, we've returned for justice, and for change. She gestured, and a new figure materialized beside her, a holographic projection of another human, this one older, with gray hair and a weathered face. Your Majesty, the newcomer said, inclining his head slightly. I am President Marcus Okafor of the Human Confederation. What Admiral Chen has shown you is just the beginning. At this moment, the truth about your empire's actions, past and present, is being broadcast to every world under your control. Your own people are learning what has been done in their name. The Emperor's secondary hearts began beating faster in alarm. You'll create chaos, civil war. Perhaps President Okafor conceded, or perhaps your people will demand better from their leadership. The choice of how to respond belongs to them, and to you. Admiral Chen stepped forward. Here are our terms, Emperor Voxthar. The Zaxian Empire will immediately cease all operations against non-combatant species. You will withdraw your forces from occupied worlds and establish a council of equals with representatives from all species within your territory. Human observers will remain to ensure compliance. And if I refuse? Chen's expression didn't change. We've had 70 years to study your technology, Your Majesty. We've placed neutralization devices on every major weapons platform in your empire. Your ships can't fire without our permission. Your planetary defenses are under our control. You expect me to surrender my empire based on threats? The Emperor snarled. No, she replied calmly. I expect you to save it, Because our alternative offer is to simply inform every subjugated species in your territory that your defenses no longer function. How long do you think the Zaxian Empire would last then? The Emperor stared at her, realization dawning. The humans weren't seeking the Empire's destruction. That would be too simple, too quick. They wanted something far more difficult, its transformation. You've calculated this carefully, he said finally. We've had time, Chen replied. 70 years of watching, learning, and planning. We could have struck a decade ago, but we waited. We wanted to be certain we understood every aspect of your society, including its capacity for change. President Okafor's hologram nodded. This moment was inevitable, Your Majesty. The only variable was whether it would end in reformation or annihilation. We've chosen to offer you the former. The Emperor turned away, moving to the window that overlooked the vast capital city. Hundreds of thousands of Zaxians went about their daily lives below, unaware that their world had irrevocably changed in the last hour. My ancestors built this empire through conquest and strength, he said quietly. Our mythology, our social structure, our very identity is built on dominance. And that is precisely why it's failing, Chen replied, moving to stand beside him. Dominance is unsustainable. It requires constant warfare, constant expansion, constant fear. Your resources are stretching thin. Your military is overextended. Even without our intervention, the empire would have begun to collapse within a generation. The Emperor turned to her, studying this small creature who had orchestrated the most effective conquest in history. A conquest without a single shot fired. You didn't come with just ships and weapons, he realized. You came with an idea. The same idea we offered 70 years ago, before your predecessor chose extermination instead, she confirmed. Coexistence, cooperation, progress without domination. My people won't accept this easily. There will be resistance, attempted coups, perhaps civil war. We know. We've prepared for that too. She gestured, and the tactical display showed new information. Human ships positioned near known hardliner strongholds, infiltration teams already embedded in potential resistance groups. We don't expect perfection, Your Majesty, just a beginning. The Emperor turned to the assembled Zaxian officials and guards who had witnessed this exchange in stunned silence. He saw the fear in their postures, the uncertainty in their eyes, but he also saw something else. In some, a glimmer of relief, as if a burden they had carried unknowingly was finally being acknowledged. Leave us, he commanded. When they had gone, he turned back to the human admiral. Your kind should have been exterminated for your weakness. Yet here you stand, having defeated us without firing a shot. Perhaps there's something to your philosophy after all. Admiral Chen smiled, a genuine expression that contained neither malice nor triumph. That's a start. 3 days later, the citizens of the Zaxian Empire witnessed something unprecedented. Their emperor, standing alongside representatives of a species long thought extinct, announcing a fundamental restructuring of imperial governance. The human delegation stood calmly amidst the chaos that followed. There were protests, of course, attempted military coups, assassination plots. Each was neutralized with the same quiet efficiency that had characterized the entire operation. Aboard the human flagship Phoenix, Admiral Chen watched the news broadcasts from across the Empire with her senior staff. It's working better than we anticipated, her intelligence officer noted. Public support for reform is at 63% and rising. The Emperor's approval rating actually increased after his speech. They were ready for change, Chen replied. They just needed permission to want it. Her second-in-command, a grizzled veteran named Commander Jackson, was less optimistic. There are still hardliners gathering forces in the outer systems. This transition won't be bloodless. No profound change ever is, Chen acknowledged. But we've given them a chance to evolve rather than collapse. That's all we promised the survivors of Earth we would do. She moved to the viewport, gazing out at the Zaxian homeworld below. Such a different perspective than 70 years ago, when the last human ships fled a burning Earth, carrying the remnants of their civilization into the unknown. "What happens now?" Jackson asked. "Now comes the hard part," Chen replied. "Living together, building something new." A communication alert chimed softly. "The Emperor is requesting your presence for the first meeting of the Transition Council." Chen nodded. "Tell him I'll be there." As she prepared to return to the planet's surface, she paused at a small memorial built into the ship's bulkhead. A simple plaque listing the names of Earth's final defenders. She placed her hand against it briefly. "We found another way," she whispered. "Not extinction. Not revenge. Something better." The Phoenix continued its orbit around Zaxia Prime, a silent guardian of a fragile peace. Throughout the galaxy, humans emerged from hiding, revealing themselves to populations that had fought them nothing but historical footnotes. And in distant space, beyond the Empire's borders, the real human fleet waited. Thousands of ships carrying the bulk of their population, ready to return from their long exile. Ready to help build a galaxy where no species would ever again face extinction for the crime of being different. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as architects of a different future. The ghosts of a forgotten world, bringing life instead of death.